CleanSpark just broke $3. We're going to get into that in this video. We're also going to get into a couple other things that I've been watching lately. Now we do have an update on CleanSpark's earnings call too. We're going to get into that and more, but let's not waste any time. Consider hitting the like, subscribe, ring the notification bell if you like these types of videos. Check out the links down below. And let's get into it. First off, we have a correction here that has to be made. Now, there was an earlier version of this press announcement that incorrectly listed the day of CleanSpark's earnings call as Wednesday, February 9. The correct day is actually Thursday, February 9. So it's still on February 9, but it's just a different day. So stick around because I will be covering their earnings call. I'll also give you guys an edited, cleaned up version of their conference call just to make things a little more palatable and easier to digest. Now, I also wanted to get into CleanSpark. We're also going to look at a few cryptos. We're going to look at some things that have been going on lately. Now, CleanSpark, it did actually break $3 yesterday before quickly pulling back. Now, it's going to be important to see how this behaves. Do we break out of this 308 area and continue pushing? Very possible. We are in this nice, beautiful uptrend. But one thing to consider here is we do have the Fed meeting coming up. It could be a setup for a huge drop. And Bitcoin, of course, we're going to look at that in a second here, but it's going to follow the overall market. If the market does tank, perhaps Bitcoin will pull back as well. One thing I want to remind you guys about CleanSpark here is they're about to give a mining update, and this is going to be for the month of January. So this isn't going to be part of their earnings that they're about to report, but it'll give us a glimpse of their next earnings coming up. What's their daily Bitcoin mined? What's their monthly production? Have they been selling their Bitcoin or starting to hodl? That's going to be important to see. I hope that they are selling less and less, in my honest opinion, lately, because I do think we are at the beginning of an uptrend, at least for the mid to long term. Maybe things pull back along the way, but I do think it's a good idea to start holding that Bitcoin moving forwards. Now, I also wanted to show you guys Bitcoin. Things have been looking pretty bullish. Every time we get a little pullback, we get a quick little bounce. Every time we get this consolidation, get a pullback and then a run back up, a breakout of the previous local top. Now, like I said, the Fed meeting is going to be important. What the overall stocks do, it could be a setup for a drop into the Fed meeting or afterwards based on what the Fed says in their dialogue. Do they sound like they need to raise interest rates more than one time after this meeting? That's one thing that's going to be very important. But we all know that we are approaching the 1 year mark away from the halving, and typically Bitcoin starts absolutely pushing in anticipation of the halving event that's in 2024, in spring of 2024. And while yesterday was definitely a down day for Bitcoin, down day for the overall market, especially for small caps, especially for risk on assets that have been absolutely pumping lately, one thing to consider is, we're still looking very good for Bitcoin. We are still holding our support. We are still creating higher highs. And despite this little pullback here, I do think we are going to continue that. But in case I'm wrong, you definitely want to watch for this 22,300 level. If we break this, we could fall a little bit farther. It will likely be breaking all three of the EMAs if that does happen. But I also wanted to show you guys a couple of altcoins that are running lately and my thoughts on them. First off, I wanted to bring up Cardano. Now, this one does seem like it's about to break its descending resistance. It may fall back in it, but I think, when you just look at this, it seems like price action really wants to push farther out. We are getting a nice steady run up and possibly a breakout of this descending resistance. We are working on it. We don't have a candle closing above yet, but it's close. And one thing compared to these other attempts of a breakout out of this descending resistance is, these were kind of quicker moves up, which means a harder drop down. What we've been seeing lately is this nice stair-stepping action upwards. This is good to see. I do want to see this break of this descending resistance, but another thing I want to see for Cardano is a break of the 200 EMA and also the 200 MA. I want to see a cross of that, but one thing that does look bullish is we are starting to curl upwards on both the 50 and 200 MA. Soon we can see a cross, and that will bring Cardano more bullish momentum. Now, another crypto I mentioned recently that I'm pretty bullish on for the mid to long term, at least into Bitcoin's bull market into potentially 2025, is Fantom. This has been absolutely pushing, This has been absolutely pushing. It just broke 50 cents, which was a bit of a resistance here. It popped up out of it, and we'll see where it goes from here. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little pullback, a dip buy in my opinion, and then continue to push higher. Of course, it depends on where Bitcoin goes, obviously. But as Bitcoin pushes higher, I think Fantom will exponentially push higher. Meaning if Bitcoin goes up 10%, Fantom could go as much as 20, 30, 40%. I definitely think that Fantom is one to get. And just looking at the chart, you'll see that it is completely, just riding up these EMAs, continuing this nice bullish momentum. We are getting a lot of volume coming in here. And you might say, there's definitely people that are saying, oh, I wish I would have bought more. Well, you can continue to DCA. Despite this little run up, you know, we still, in my opinion, have a long way to go for Fantom over the next year, 2 years into 2025. And you might be wondering, why am I saying 2025? Why am I not saying like 2026, 27, 28, what have you? Well, I think that could be the sweet spot for a lot of these cryptos, just based on the halving events. 2025, if you just look at the history, 2025 will likely be when we start curling back downwards and reaching crypto winter at some point in 2025. But I do think a lot of these cryptos are definitely worth watching. You don't want to sleep on these cryptos, in my opinion, and a little diversification doesn't hurt if all you own is CleanSpark, or all you own is just Bitcoin miners, or you just have a little Bitcoin. Well, you can definitely give Fantom a little percentage of your portfolio. Same with Cardano, in my opinion. Definitely some other cryptos out there to keep an eye on. But let me know what you guys are thinking about CleanSpark lately, and then also some of these cryptos. You know, how are you feeling about Cardano? How are you feeling about Bitcoin? Where do you think the direction will go? And Fantom, you know, what do you guys think about Fantom? I think it is definitely a crypto to watch in the coming months and years, and I will continue to DCA into it. Thanks as always for watching, guys. I definitely appreciate you. Have a good rest of your day.